bit about what or how President Donald Trump reasons before we hear all of that. And as Jason Miller said there, you want to follow Truth Social before you have any meeting with President Donald Trump. So it's an interesting one indeed at the Afrexim Bank meeting, which is still ongoing. Now let's see what else is happening in the global space with Will Ibon. Will?
Hello, Amy. Good morning. We are speaking of Donald Trump. We see U.S. and China easing some trade restrictions, with China approving select rare earth exports and Washington set to lift certain tech barriers. Now, the move follows talks in London aimed at reviving the Geneva Agreement. President Trump confirmed the deal, which both sides say will stabilize trade relations after months of tariff and visa tensions. Analysts welcome the step but caution that key details remain unclear, especially over which rare earth exports will be relaxed. To stay with China, China's industrial profits plunged by 9.1% in May, the biggest monthly decline since October 2024. The drop highlights ongoing struggles despite Beijing's economic stimulus efforts. So far this year, profits at major factories, mines and utilities are down 1.1% compared to last year. Experts say falling global commodity prices and fierce price wars are hurting profitability. China's Statistics Bureau blames weak domestic demand and lower product prices, and this follows a 27% profit collapse last September, which had already raised alarm bells for policymakers. Now, phone maker Xiaomi stock jumped over 5% to a record high after unveiling a YU7 electric SUV priced at 10,000 yuan below Tesla's Model Y. Over 200,000 orders were placed within minutes. The YU7 boasts a 760-kilometer range, NVIDIA-powered driver assist, and Apple CarPlay. Xiaomi also launched AI smart glasses with QR scanning and photo features starting at 1,999 yuan. Now, Nike plans to cut its China's supply chain share from 16% to high single digits by next summer. Despite U.S. tariffs, China remains key to its sourcing, says CFO Matt Friend. Now, the company prioritizes stabilizing operations over cutting costs, with a projected 0.75 points hit to gross margins in fiscal 2026, mainly in the first half. In the fourth quarter, ending May the 31st, Nike beat expectations. We see EPS 14 cents versus 13 cents expectations. Revenue was up $11.1 billion versus $10.72 billion, which was expected. And net income, we see that $211 million versus $1.5 billion a year earlier. Now to India. India's rice stockpiles are now at their highest levels in over 20 years, creating a storage dilemma for the world's second largest rice producer. With warehouses nearly full, there are growing concerns about space for the upcoming harvest. Forecasts of above average rainfall have boosted hopes for another bumper crop this year, but that success may come at a cost as the government races to find space to store the surplus. Without adequate facilities, much of the excess rice could end up spoiling in open-air storage, raising concerns over waste and food security. And we go to the UK now, where auto production dropped 32.8% in May to just under 50,000 vehicles, its lowest since 1949, excluding the pandemic. SMMT says the slump reflects model changeovers, restructuring, and U.S. tariffs. Exports to the EU and US, the UK's top markets, fell sharply, hit by President Trump's 25% import tariff. British brands like Jaguar, Land Rover paused shipments in response. Now, a revised US order now lowers that tariff to 10% for the first 100,000 UK-made cars annually, offering hope of recovery as global trade talks progress. Those are the highlights from the global space. We'll just continue next week and see how that pans out, especially with Trump and President of China, Xi Jinping, reaching that agreement in terms of trade tariffs. Hope the war is about to be over.
Yes, well, hopefully. And the pause, the pause on the reciprocal tariff is almost coming to an end. So we'll see what that means. But thank you so much, Will. All right. And just before we go, yesterday we celebrated the market, that's the Nigeria stock market, but we saw at the close of trade yesterday was profit taking almost 0.5%, but we're still looking good at over 120,000 level. That is a big deal for us here. And the market lost 307 billion and is at 76.453. You get updates, intraday numbers at 1 p.m. during Business Incorporated when we will come back with those numbers. Laddie will also be there to take you around the world of business in 55 minutes. I'm Ini John Mekwa. Have a great weekend.